Welcome back to the Boundary Corner podcast. Thursday night, man.
Thursday, buddy. We back at it again.
Back at it again. It's Thursday. I think we can say, Brian, summer is officially here. I don't know.
I think so. We had a weekend there of rain and some cooler weather, but it turned around for us. I think we're looking pretty good, man.
Absolutely. I mean, this weekend looks great. Going to be like mid-80s. Probably hit the pool up one day. Get the kids outside, have a lot of good fun. What about you? Oh, hold on. Congratulations, Brian.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you. Folks, Brian this week put a contract on a house, something he and his wife and his family have been working for last really year, man. And you texted me, like, I'm already like doing this. I'm like, ooh, Brian, we get to design your man cave.
Got the man cave. We got the double deck on the back. So I'm pumped. It's going to be a good time once we finally get in there. So closing probably by the end of the month. So looking forward to it, buddy.
Awesome. Well, folks, tonight we are actually bringing on a special guest. Mike McDaniel from the Sons of Saturday is going to be joining us here in just a second. And we are going to be looking at the Hokie depth chart, giving it some grades, talking through it with Mike about what we're seeing, what he's seeing for this upcoming 2021 season. So without further ado, let's have Mike come on.
Hey, Mike, how you doing tonight?
What's up, boys?
We are having a good Thursday here. Good, like I said, we got some drinks, enjoying the nice weather we've had today. How about you?
Got my bourbon just for the occasion, gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
There we go.
Mike,
that's what we like to hear.
Mike, currently good things with your Boston teams today. The Sox took care of Houston 5-1. Bruins up 1-0. I got that in the Islanders on the TV here.
Me too.
Not a fun day. Not a fun week for basketball, though.
Don't even get me started, man. It was a brutal season for my Celtics. I was hoping that they'd put something together in the playoffs, and then before the first series happens, they're like, all right, Jaylen Brown's out for the year. I'm like, all right, well, we don't have a prayer against the Nets. And then all year they have Kemba Walker resting on the second night of back-to-backs, and they were like, all right, this is so he'll be ready for the playoffs and he won't be hurt. And lo and behold, he gets hurt in the playoffs. I'm like, man, if they had just played him on the second night of back-to-backs, we probably avoid the Nets in round one. But
there you go.
All hell broke loose. Ainge retires, and Brad Stevens is now president of basketball ops, which I'm not even sure he's even qualified for. So total mess. I have no idea what's going to happen.
And they just put a complete bomb to it once everything went south, man.
Oh, yeah. I'm a diehard Celtics fan, so it was a really hard season for me.
So wait a second. Is the Kendrick Perkins is the fake thing? I saw that earlier. Like, is Perkins even coaching?
Immediately checked to see if the account was fake, because I was like, wait a second, Kendrick Perkins. No, this is not.
This cannot happen.
Definitely is not qualified for basketball ops. But he's hired Kendrick Perkins as head coach.
So Mike is not only drinking bourbon just to have us a good time tonight. He's soaking a little misery.
Oh yeah, I mean it's been waiting all week for that drink, boys.
There we go.
Hey, it's all of us, man. I mean, but like I told Brian before you joined us, summer is here.
Oh yeah,
your fans are already on, Mike. Your fans are already.
It's here.
Right,
full force, boys.
Full force.
There we go.
It's almost to the day before the first game kicks off. And tonight, as I said just a few minutes ago, guys, we're going to be going through essentially the Hokie depth chart. And we're going to be giving our ratings 1 through 8, of 1 being the lowest confidence, 8 being the highest confidence of where we feel, all three of us. And then we're going to talk about it, look at depth, things I see, things Brian sees, obviously things Mike sees. And let's jump right into it. And let's start with the literally most important position for the Hokies, really since 1995. Let's start with the quarterback room. Mike, I'm going to let you have the honor since you are wearing your Titleist hat there. 1 through 8, what's your confidence level, first of all, for the quarterback room, depth-wise?
All right. Well, I mean, a lot of this depends on, the health of Braxton Burmeister, because if he gets hurt, confidence plummets. And it's not if, it's when, boys. Right? Like,
you foresee a lot of quarterback powers?
Man, I get it. Like, I get it. They're trying to put weight on him, and he wants to be, in a better spot health-wise so that he can, carry a brunt of the load at the quarterback position. And we know Brad Cornelison loves to run his quarterbacks. Man, I am nervous about it, man. I'm nervous about it. I think Burmeister is a capable quarterback. I think when he was healthy towards the end of last year, we saw what he was capable of. Certainly had a really good game against UVA. He's very athletic, can run very well. I was surprised at how well he threw the ball the last couple times we saw him last year. And I'm willing to chalk up the beginning of the year and his struggles to, one, being kind of thrown into the fire. Two, we knew he was banged up. He was banged up in fall camp, and then he's playing a bit hobbled and thrown into kind of a tough situation there. And you know what? I think this was honestly Justin Fuente's quarterback going into the year last year. It's not something I believed at the time, but it's something that, as the year went on, I feel like if Burmeister was a little bit more healthy, I think that Fuente would have considered going back to him earlier than he did. Hendon Hooker did not have a good year last year, and I loved Hendon Hooker. When Burmeister was playing early and, it was clear he wasn't right, I was thinking, man, we got to get Hooker back. And then, understood that with the COVID and everything else, that was the reasoning behind him not playing early in the year. And I like Burmeister. I think he has an opportunity to play well if he's able to stay on the field. I give this a confidence of like a 4, though, like right in the middle, because I feel like there is upside there. But I am very concerned because the depth is just not where it needs to be. Knox Kadum, admirable effort against Clemson. He's not a Power 5 quarterback, at least not in the starting capacity. Connor Blumrick wasn't even a quarterback at A&M. I don't know what they're even doing there. He can't be really considered a legitimate depth piece, in my opinion. I mean, he wasn't playing quarterback in A&M. He was moving all around the field. A&M didn't see him as a quarterback. I get they had Kellen Mond, but if he's not even capable of a backup role there, why is he a backup at Virginia Tech? And Taj Bullock is a true freshman. They're not going to throw a true freshman into the fire, especially one that wasn't here for spring practice. It wasn't like Bullock was an early enrollee. If he was, I could see them maybe turning to him. But the fact that he's not coming on campus until really right now makes it really hard for me to imagine that he has a role. Plus, he's a little bit raw. You know what I mean? And, Josh Jackson, you guys remember when Fuente first got here, Josh Jackson came in and was a legitimate contender for a starting quarterback as a true freshman, with Gerard Evans. And there was an opportunity for him to play early. Obviously, he did play early as a redshirt freshman earlier than I think we all thought, because we didn't think Evans was coming. Was going to come in and then leave after a year. But, Fuente is not afraid to play young guys. I just don't think Bullock is going to be in that situation to play early. So it's going to be dicey if and when Burmeister gets hurt, because his track record of staying healthy is obviously not very good.
Yeah, I'm actually a little more pessimistic than you at this position, and it starts and ends with Braxton Burmeister's health.
Yep.
Because as much as we run the football with the quarterback powers, other design runs, and then some of our play calling in the passing game gives the opportunity for the quarterback to take off a lot. So I don't feel comfortable about his health, and I feel zero confidence with pretty much everybody behind him, more than, spot duty to finish a game or something like that. I feel like Knox could do okay in that capacity, but if he's starting more than one game, it's a wrap. That's not what you want to see. I'm giving that's going to be my lowest grade, is a grade 1 there, solely because I don't trust Braxton's health, and I feel like we don't have anything to inspire confidence behind him.
What are we going to do?
I'm with Brian. It's a 1. We're going to have to literally go triple option offense if Braxton gets hurt and run the ball 65 times a game. And
you're saying Connor Blumler run the show from
Look, listen. The only reason I gave it a grade as high as I did is because I'm thinking optimistically, saying he'll start more than we expect. If that's not the case, Which
You're saying he at least gets a
not.
full 8 games. You're saying at least a full 8 games.
A full 8 games. Give me 2/3 of the schedule, and hey, guys, we would take that, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Come on now.
Considering this situation, I'd take a full 8 games and maybe, at least half of 2 others.
Yeah.
If he only misses 2 full games,
we can deal with that.
Maybe.
Yeah. But low confidence, though.
Low confidence.
Yeah, we're super low confidence because it's nothing behind it. Braxton himself, if you told me Braxton played 12 games fully healthy at the levels we saw him near the end of last year, I feel super good about the room.
Definitely.
What I don't feel confident in is, if you guys both mentioned it, is our propensity to how we run the quarterbacks. You can't run Braxton in general because he's not built like Gerard or Josh or Hendon, or Quincy. He is a smaller built guy, fast. Don't get me wrong. Like, I remember the first time he pulled in that NC State game and he took down that left side. It was just like, whoa. Like, he's like, not only has he made that decision quickly, but when he gets his third step, he's gone. It's not a build-up. Quincy had to be a build-up. Hendon was about a 5-step guy. But it's the Connor Blumerick thing, like, how hard they went after it made no sense. Like, you needed to be finding someone at a lower Power 5 level or a G5 level that had started some games to begin.
Yeah.
And it's the biggest me and Brian talk about it a lot, sometimes on air, sometimes off. The roster management of this staff in general is terrible.
Yep.
It's terrible. And as we get into some of these other spots, probably all 3 of us, where we're ranking our confidence, you're going to see that reflect. So
I think we're going to get to it at the very next one, actually.
Yeah, we are. We are.
For the quarterback room, optimistic Mike at a 4, pessimistic Curtis and Brian at a 1.
Optimistic. The craziest part about that is my optimism is like our middle grade. Like, that's where the optimism.
Best case scenario. 4.
Hey, I'm an optimistic guy, but I'm 1,000% with you guys as far as what the concerns are. There's no doubt about that.
By the way, for the listeners and for you guys, you wonder what I was doing with the towel. Mike, your statement made me spit my beer out. So I was trying to clean it up here off the desk.
Getting started early.
Exactly. All right, so let's go next. Let's take a look at the offensive line room. Mike, I am going to kick this to Brian because, Brian is our resident offensive lineman here. Brian, what's your confidence grade on this?
Just behind quarterback at a 2. And it could have been a 1 if we would have had any semblance of a backup quarterback. I feel okay about potentially the first 5 guys we have. Meaning Tenuta, Lessa Smith, probably Johnny Jordan, some combination of Brock Hoffman and Silas Zancy at right guard, tackle, depending on where they end up flopping them. Beyond that, like, zero confidence, absolute no confidence. You got Jesse Hansen, who we haven't really heard a lot from, kind of has not, I wouldn't say underachieved, but hasn't really hit the potential I think some people thought for him. You got 2 young guys in Parker Clements and Caden Moore, and then you got Bob Schick coming in as a JUCO. And outside of that, like, it's just some guys. Like, it's scary hours, and even that second line is a scary thought more than, like, as we said with quarterback, more than having to finish out a game or maybe have a plug start for some guy that goes down for 1 game. Like, anything more than 1 game is scary.
Tyrell Smith's damn near 30. We had to get him out of retirement, have him come back, and he's never really started a game in offensive line. I mean, he's really been special teams guy for most of his time, and that says all you need to know about the depth. I mean, I'm at like a 2 or a 3. I want to be optimistic and say 3, but I feel like it's about a 2. Like, here's the thing. I'm with you, Brian. Like, the offensive line, as currently constructed with the 5 guys that we presume will be starting, I'm actually okay with. I'm a little bit concerned about Luke Tenuta moving to left tackle. I understand it. Now, you got to make that move. I get it. He's your best tackle. You got to play him there. I totally understand it. He just kind of had a so-so year last year at right tackle. So now moving him to left tackle, I'm like, man, is he really ready for that? He's got a lot of upside, and I think he's a good lineman. I'm just a little bit concerned about him there. And that's why the confidence level is lower, because I feel like he is one of our better offensive linemen, and I do have a concern about him at left tackle. Lacita Smith, I think, will be fine. I mean, I think he's going to be our most consistent offensive lineman. Johnny Jordan's going to play center, and then Brock Hoffman sliding over is probably what's best. But my patience with Brock Hoffman ran thin last year for all of the ridiculous antics after the whistle. It's like, dude, you are a good lineman. You are not an outstanding lineman that we can't, so outstanding that we can't pull you out of the game when you're acting like an asshole. Like, you can't be committing. I mean, some of the penalties he's committing, it's just like, man, they teach you this, and this guy's been playing football since he was, yay high. You can't be committing the penalties that he was committing in high leverage situations like he was last year. Like, he's got to absolutely clean that up, or else you got to find somebody else who's going to play who's not going to commit penalties like that. Again, good lineman, but not so good that you can't pull him off the field when he's acting like that. So he's got to clean that up. I'm really optimistic about Johnny Jordan at center. All Big Ten type player, really started to come into his own at Maryland, has an opportunity to be really good here, I think. And then Silas Zanzi, I mean, I'm okay with him playing some. I just, he's probably going to be our most inconsistent offensive lineman, and I'm really concerned about the depth. I mean, the depth of the offensive line is what's troubling me. I mean, the only reason why it's a little bit better than quarterback is you have more guys to try at different positions. But that's really about it. I mean, other than that, it's a lot of unproven depth back there.
You got Jesse that can play a couple different positions, that's really the only saving grace at this point, is that, Jesse can probably play behind Smith and behind Jordan, while Brock kind of works on the right side depending on areas of need. But outside of that, I mean, it's like you said, it's scary in the depth area. Curtis, I'm gonna let you go ahead, man.
Well, I mean, you kind of said what I was going to say, but the other piece is, if we would have looked back 365 days ago and I had told you guys, hey, next year offensive line depth is going to be scary, y'all would have laughed at me, said I was an idiot based on what we had. So once again, it's the roster management. But I'm going to pivot this quick back to you, Brian, because Mike, I want you to listen to Brian's idea. And to me, you talk about Silas being inconsistent. I'd rather him be inconsistent at guard than tackle. And Brian got an idea. Brian, pitch that idea you talked to me the other day about what you'd like to do on the right side of that line.
I mean, I think it would be best if Brock could play right tackle, if that would,
I agree.
That would be something that could work out. Silas, you can hide the biggest deficiencies that he has inside.
Yes, you can.
And I think he'll do better in the running game there as well. So moving him down, I think, would be the best case scenario, so long as Brock can hold up outside. Obviously, seems like played pretty much every position on the line at some point in his football career. Played guard and center, obviously, when he was at Coastal, and then we've been kind of working him at both positions, with center being the primary in terms of actually playing in a game. But I would like to see him slide out if we can make that work. That gives us the chance to probably put our best 5 linemen on the field, at least to start things off there, and then see what goes there. And obviously, I've only looked at a little tape on Bob Schick. He looks like he's a fairly decent player, but nothing spectacular. Solid mechanics, but nothing that blows you away. And obviously hasn't done it at the Power 5 level yet, so you really don't know what that's going to look like.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you're relying on those depth pieces that haven't played the position at the Power 5 level before, and you have 2 starters transfer out of the program, you have another one go to the NFL, it's, again, the roster management is what really bothers me, because I feel like we really should have been in the portal and hitting the portal hard for offensive linemen. When the coaching staff comes out in spring practice, and I sit in on those press conferences, and they're saying in those press conferences that offensive line depth is a serious concern. When they're saying that in the spring, this again, guys, this is a coaching staff that has done everything in their power. Brian and I were talking about this before we hit record. They do everything in their power not to reveal their hand, right? When they're coming out and openly saying they're extremely concerned about the offensive line, that makes me nervous. That makes me really nervous. When they're not open about anything. They're going to be open about that. Come on now.
Well, you talk about hiding your hand. It's like they were drunk at the card table that turned over their hand once Hudson and Nestor left. As soon as they left, you knew Darrisaw was gone. Darrisaw was that good of a player. You knew he was gone. And as soon as those kids transferred out, everybody could look and say, they're going to be weak on the offensive line. I'm putting it at a 2 as well. And then you sit here and there's nothing behind it. There's no attacking the portal. You talk about Bashik potentially coming in. Maybe he comes in because at least he is 6'5" at 300 pounds. There's his upside. His upside is he has a body already that is essentially ready to play. Maybe he has some good enough technique and fundamentals where you say, okay, we are going to move Brock outside. Chick's going to back him up. This will give us a little room flexibility on the inside with Silas and Jesse kind of playing the swing guard spot. Now, but again, it's the whole thing of what happens if Johnny gets banged for 3 games? Well, you're moving Brock inside.
Yep.
You're moving either Schick or Silas outside where it's like, at least you talked about Luke Tenuta. At least Luke Tenuta is good enough. You know, schematically, you could do things to give him help on the left side, whether it be keeping the tight ends in, chipping, shifting to that side. But if you have 2 outside guys who both need help, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to sit out there and just run power all day and just say, hope to God we can get 3 to 4 yards?
Max protect everything.
Yeah.
2-man routes all day.
Yeah, the absolute key to this offensive line having a successful year is the interior guys staying healthy. I mean, we can't afford to have an injury of Johnny Jordan or Brock Hoffman because even if they were to bounce Brock Hoffman outside, if they have an injury inside, they can move him, right?
Exactly.
Now, if he gets hurt, I think your options are a little bit more limited, regardless of where you're playing him, inside or out.
Yep,
absolutely.
100%.
So as we have kicked off the first 2 position groups here, our confidence levels are not that high for the offensive line or the quarterback room. So let's move to the next room. We're staying on offense. We'll flip the defense in a little while here, folks. Let's look at the running back room. And I'm going to be straight up with you. I put the running back room at an 8 because there's so many guys there. Someone is bound.
Someone's going to hit, apparently.
An 8?
Somebody, whether it be Jalen Holston, Keshawn King, Marco Lee, maybe one of the guys like Taj Gary. I hope to God they're not putting Blackshear back there a ton of times. I'll let Brian harp on that later. But to me,
I'll get there.
we've seen Jalen run at the end of the year. To me, I saw mismanagement on field last year when they were trying to put Raheem Blackshear to do that stuff versus Jalen Holston, where Jalen Holston, by the end of the year, was the number 2. And then the first time they ran Marco Lee, the guy got like 5 yards because he's 235, and he just plows into the line, and he goes forward. So this group is high for me because somebody's going to do something.
Curtis.
Talk him off.
Curtis. This team, up until last year, hadn't had a running game consistently since 2011. And the guy that was a catalyst for that leaves. You're putting confidence at an 8?
Yes, I'm putting confidence at 8. Well, I'm going 1 through 8. I'm grading them based on where I feel this is my highest confidence room. Because there's depth there. There's guys we've seen flash. I'm not worried. If Jalen gets banged, I feel Keyshawn could come in. If, Marco, somebody is still going to be able to come and run doing this offense. Because of the offense's plays and the schematics, it has potential for success. And that's why I'm going there. Not that there's like, this guy's going to go 1,800 yards and average 6.5 a carry. That's not the reason. There's just so many bodies there compared to some of the other rooms.
Here's the thing, too, about the running back room, to your point, Curtis. The fact that under Justin Fuente, this team finds ways to run the football regardless of whether or not they have a bell cow back, right? I think that's clear. And it's not always going to be a really successful running game. I think we know that at this point. But they're going to do enough to keep the defense off balance. And they're not going to have another Khalil Herbert for a long time. And that's not a slight at anybody they bring in, or it's just what he did last year was historic in terms of the running back position at Virginia Tech. People need to understand. I think a lot of people do, but a lot of people I think just kind of gloss it over because the team didn't play as well as a lot of people had hoped. Like, that was a really historic season he just had in terms of yards per carry, in terms of yards per game, all-purpose yards. He was one of the top backs in the country. Virginia Tech hasn't had that. Forget about 2011 with David Wilson. They haven't had that really in a long time. Even going back to like Darren Evans, Ryan Williams. I mean, they've had some strong running games. Lee Suggs, but Khalil Herbert is right up there with any of them.
Oh, yeah.
And he was outstanding last year, and that's really hard to replace. But again, they got a lot of guys in this room, whether it be the veterans like Jalen Holston or Raheem Blackshear, kind of coming to his own as an upperclassman. Again, I'm with you, Curtis. Like, I would prefer to have Raheem Blackshear play more in the slot, play more outside receiver, play a little bit at running back. I want him kind of all over the field. I don't want him lining up carrying the ball 15 times a game. I don't think that's his strength. I don't think that's what the coaching staff envisions him doing. And you guys will remember, I mean, they were hyping up Raheem Blackshear more than Khalil Herbert last year. And then, Blackshear got a little banged up, had a hamstring injury, never really came into form like the coaching staff was hoping, but he's got an opportunity to be really dynamic. I like the freshman Jordan Brunson a lot. I don't know if he'll get any carries, but I like him. I like his potential a lot. 6 foot, 215 pounds. I mean, he's got good size. He's got decent speed. He's got very good athleticism. I like his tape from high school a lot, and I don't think he's being talked about nearly enough right now. But again, there are so many different guys that I think, could potentially play a role. I mean, I'd love to see Marco Lee play some. But he's going to be that niche, like short yardage guy, I feel like. And in this offense, we're always out of shotgun. I don't know how much he's really going to actually have that role and have that opportunity. We all love Keyshawn King too, but the whole, can he put on weight? Can he hold his weight at the Division I level? That's a question as well. So there's so many questions in this room too, and like uncertainty with a lot of these guys that it's hard for me to have a lot of confidence. I'd put it like a 3 or a 4.
Okay.
I mean, I just don't know enough about a lot of these guys that we may have to rely on. I mean, that's just the bottom line.
I'm close to you there. So I see this unit as kind of like a high floor, low ceiling unit. I feel like they're not going to be bad just because they have a lot of guys and a lot of guys that at this point have seen some action. But we, as you said, we don't have a bell cow. We don't have a Khalil Herbert. I don't think Holston can step into that type of role. I feel like he's more of I wouldn't say plotting back, but he's going to get you solid carries, but he's not going to be the guy like Herbert that breaks that one tackle and now he's out in the secondary and he's getting a ton of extra yards. Yeah. He's not going to get those. At least not at the same level that Herbert did. I mean, a lot of times on that outside zone, he would, shoulder shrug one tackle, and next thing you know, he's at the next level and up the sideline. I feel like King has a lot of potential, but as you said, can he keep on the weight? I think it sounds like he's making some progress with putting it on. The question is, can he keep it on? Can he keep it on in season when it matters to stay, keep his body healthy enough to take the bangs and the hits that come at playing running back. And, Marco Lee, big guy, definitely more of a niche player, though, as you said, short yardage, goal line scenarios. Don't see him getting much in the middle of the field unless, it's one of those third and shorts, and we don't call quarterback power in those situations. We give the ball to a big back and let him get the first down there. But as you said, though, I would say, Brunson and Hampton are probably in play. I don't know if they're going to get a whole lot of snaps, but I really liked Brunson's tape when I looked at it coming out. So, he has the potential if he puts the pieces together to pop and maybe compete for some snaps. But I really want to see Blackshear more in the next group we're going to talk about than this group. I think he's more of a like Percy Harvin type player. Like
Yep.
he needs to take some carries out of the backfield. He needs to run some routes out of the backfield and things of that nature, but he doesn't need to be your spell back or any sort of every down type player from the running back position.
He's going to have to take some damn snaps at quarterback at some point, probably.
Probably. Well, there's one person out there that's potentially that is being recruited that I feel that if it happens, you could have a Khalil Herbert situation again because of his talent. I'm not mentioning his name. I think anyone that is in the know with Virginia Tech football knows who I am talking about. But the events that happened yesterday with someone in his family, not looking great. So we'll see. Brian, you already mentioned it. I'll set up the softball to you, big guy. Wide receiver, tight end. Where's your confidence level on this one, Brian?
A 3. I'm at a 3 on wide receiver. And it really has all to do with, it's a whole lot of question marks once you get past the names Trey Turner and Tavion Robinson. And we're going to go ahead and throw tight ends in here in this group, and James Mitchell would be the other name that you would mention there. I think we have a lot of really good receivers that can play in the slot, whether it be freshmen or a Raheem Blackshear. But I'm not really sold on guys that beyond Trey Turner and Tavion Robinson that can really step up at the outside there. Those are concerning. Whether we end up using James Mitchell in a similar fashion that we used Bucky Hodges early in Fuente's tenure, that remains to be seen. Given the lack of depth, I think, at the position in terms of proven talent, because beyond the kind of first line guys, there's a bunch of names, but not a bunch of snaps behind those names.
Man, I think this entire I hate to just continue to say the same thing over and over again, but I feel that this entire roster is so mediocre right now. Like at a lot of positions, not all positions. We'll get to defense. I'm a lot more confident on that side of the ball. But on the offense, I have concerns, man. Like at receiver specifically, Trey Turner, man, it's about time. Like it's getting to be about that time, buddy. Like we need some more production, right? Like it's getting a little late. Showed a lot of promise as a freshman. Last couple years, not so much. He's got a lot of potential. It continues to have a lot of potential, and that's what's bothering me. It's just kind of like he hasn't fully realized kind of the player that I think a lot of us thought he could be. When he first got onto campus, I think we were all thinking, all right, Isaiah Ford type explosive plays, right?
Exactly what I thought.
and then it just hasn't really panned out. He hasn't stayed healthy. It's been a struggle. I get the quarterback position has been kind of a revolving door. It's hard to get rhythm with the quarterbacks. I get it. As a receiver, I understand. James Mitchell's really good. It's awesome that he's stuck around. Nick Gallo, I like him a lot. I just, at the pure receiver position, I think Changa Hodge could have really carved out a nice role. It's unfortunate that he tore his ACL. Jaden Payute, I'm really excited to see him play. I'm also a little bit nervous that he's not going to be as healthy as he would like. And again, it's anytime you have a foot injury, when you got screws inserted and all that stuff, it's a total coin flip, guys. And I'd love for him to come back and be healthy and play to his potential, because I know the staff's very high on him, and he's one of the few 4-stars on our roster at this point. So I would like for him to produce at a skill position.
Yep.
And, Tavion Robinson, I like him a lot. I'm really excited in this room about the young guys, right? I mean, DeJuan Lofton, I think, is going to play a decent amount. It seemed like he was getting a decent amount of snaps with the ones during the spring. That's really encouraging. Jalen Jones, a freshman out of Richmond, is another kid that I think has a lot of potential both inside and outside. He's a little bit bigger than DeJuan Lofton. So those are two guys who are young who I think could play early. But I think my confidence level is still around like a 4, because Trey Turner can't really stay healthy. And James Mitchell, I feel like every team's going to key on him. So who's going to be the other guy that steps up? Is it going to be Tavion Robinson to take on kind of a larger role now in his third year in the offense? Is it going to be one of the young guys like Lofton or Jones? Like, is it going to be Nick Gallo stepping up? Is he going to get more snaps at tight end, 2 tight end sets, right? Is he going to become more of a pass-catching threat now? Like, those are the questions I have. And I think there's potential out of this group for sure. Confidence is not all that high just because of injuries and health and depth and that sort of thing.
Yep.
I'm close with you guys on this one. I'm like at a 4 with this one too. And it's not – the guys are talented. You start looking at the guys. Trey's talented. That first year, like you mentioned, Mike, he exploded. We expected more. He's kind of only went up a little bit, not really did this.
Potential's there.
Tavion, same way. Tavion's growing. His first year, then second year, you saw the growth. And then Payute, if that guy comes back and has anything near the speed that he showed at essentially the workout that got him the offer and bumped him to a top 100 player, that's good. Blackshear, Lofton, Jones.
Blackshear. Didn't even mention Blackshear.
Blackshear. Yeah. Y'all love Blackshear. You forget to mention him here.
Yeah.
I mentioned him in passing.
I'm just an idiot.
Being an OW, not being a running back, not being just a slot. James Mitchell and Nick Gallo, even Drake Dalis, we know he can be a solid tight end. What I'm more concerned with and why this group is a 4 and not necessarily like a 5 or a 6 is we've had talented groups before, and we don't show how to put them in situations to excel. And what makes me angry, Mike, and I've told Brian this a ton if you've listened to us before, what makes me angry is I look at this offense, and if you put these guys in the situations where they could excel, you could have guys who are borderlining on 1,000 receiving yards. Not one, multiple. You have guys who could be borderlining on 1,000 rushing yards. Not one, multiple. But every time it's like, okay, this is the year. We're going to see more plays, and it's like the same 15 plays.
Yeah, instead we'd rather run the quarterback 30 times a game,
Exactly. So it's a gross mismanagement of talent. And if, to me, and I'm probably sure to you guys, if Justin Fuente doesn't win 10 games and go to the ACC title game, he's fired. It doesn't. I think that's it.
See, I think that's what should happen. But to be honest with you, in my opinion, when Whit Babcock and whoever else made the decision to keep Fuente around, they made their bed with that. And I think it's going to be more than a 1-year experiment, because I don't think you do the whole song and dance. This could be an entirely different podcast, so I don't want to get us too off track. But I don't think Whit Babcock does the whole song and dance of, this is really year 1. We didn't have our facilities and didn't put enough funding into football, yada, yada, yada. I think it would have to be real bad for Fuente to get fired. I honestly believe that. I think honest to God, if he goes 8-4 and only loses to Notre Dame, UNC, a couple others, West Virginia maybe, and then name the random ACC game we lose every year. I think that probably is going to be enough for him to stick around another year. I do believe that, because I got no reason to believe that this is going to work long term. I'm an optimistic guy. I didn't really understand why he was kept. I get it's a big buyout, all that. I just feel like there were too many things said in that press conference by Whit Babcock that made me think, man, I feel like this is more than a 1-year thing. It would have to be real bad. It would have to really, really bottom out, because he's stuck around for this long. I don't know.
But let me ask this hold on, before you jump in.
Yeah, you go ahead.
But let me ask this, Mike, in your opinion, and Brian, I want you to answer this too. 8-4, 7-5, does Whit get to walk up to him and say, you need to fucking fire somebody because this is shit?
It should have already happened.
Yes.
Right? It should have already happened, guys. We're all on the. I know we're all on the same page on this. We've talked about this several times off the air, but this is that should already happened. The fact, and I like Justin Hamilton a lot, and I like his potential and all that, but when your back's against the wall, hiring a guy who's never been a defensive coordinator before is a hell of a decision.
Yep.
it's a hell of a decision. I don't know. I wouldn't have done it. I mean, all the potential in the world, has a chance to be really good. I like Hamilton. I think he could be a very good defensive coordinator. I get his potential. But I feel like Fuente, and the reason why he's in this mess is he's hired too many guys based on potential.
Okay.
And he's recruited too many guys based on potential and not like where they're actually at right now. And I think that's why the program's kind of in the rut they're in. But anyway.
That's a very, very good point. I like the way you said that. A lot of potential, but we haven't seen a whole lot of that potential come to fruition.
Yeah.
I think, when you look at Justin Hamilton, a lot of good things you're seeing, but I think there's definitely some growing pains that are going to come with hiring a coach that hasn't really seen a whole lot of action at the Power 5 level at this point. And, we can address the elephant in the room that is Brad Cornelsen.
Yeah.
Probably put in a position where has potential, but what we're seeing is that the deficiencies aren't in the offensive design or anything of that, but it's in the small situations in the game that matter, whether it's certain calls at certain times of the game or making adjustments when, we do what we do isn't working.
Right. I feel like this is, obviously this is a program on the brink, and obviously there have been some tough years here recently, and it's all about time, right? And I just don't know. I'm confident that what Virginia Tech's doing as an athletic department to put more money into football and recruiting resources and all that, I think that'll pay off. And I think Fuente, to his credit, I think he's made the right hires for recruiting and with some of his support staff to really attack something he's not very good at in recruiting.
Yeah.
I just don't know if he's going to have enough time to reap the benefits of that. And I'm not sure he's going to have enough time to reap the benefits of Justin Hamilton's potential as a defensive coordinator. And that's kind of just a trend with this program. We're short on time. I'm just not sure there's going to be that opportunity for, these guys to really kind of come into their own.
A wonderful viewer there. #FireCorn.
Thanks for that. Could be.
What we're going to do before we jump over to the defensive side of the ball is we are going to take a really quick pause for a message from our digital partners.
This episode is brought to you by Wayfair. Podcasts follow us everywhere. Whether you're cooking in the kitchen, chilling in the living room, or pretending to fold laundry in the bedroom. And with Wayfair, every one of those rooms can tell a story of its own. Their curated collections of furniture styles and prices make Wayfair the trusted destination to turn your home into your happy place. Shop everything home at wayfair.com with free and easy delivery straight to your door.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
All right, so now let's jump on the defensive side of the ball, and I'm going to lead here. We're going to start with the defensive line because the defensive line gets one of my highest grades. I'm giving it a 7, and it's not only potential, as you guys have been talking about, but it's proven results, it's depth, and it's a line we saw do well last year at times and not do so well at times, but there are also some key correct positional requirements that we didn't have. Love Gerard Hewitt. Gerard Hewitt was not a defensive tackle in this particular scheme. He leaves, and lo and behold, a 6'4", 317-pound defensive lineman from the 7.57 transfers from Clemson. He is a prototypical defensive tackle in this type of scheme. And not only is it one of these things where it's a Virginia kid coming home, you get the feel-good story, you get a recruiting bump, in my opinion, because of the talk that he had about, like, he created a great relationship with Justin Fuente while he was being recruited. A lot of people didn't like to hear that, but it does say that maybe all is not bad with how our head coach recruits. But I sit here and I look at the names: Amari Barna, Pollard, Fuga, Kendricks, Garbutt, hopefully Belmar. I know he's going through some things. Where are you at, Mike, with the defensive line group?
Honestly, like a 7. It's one of my highest ratings as well. Just think about the guys that are kind of coming back into the fold, right? Barno didn't even really have a full offseason to be a defensive end before last year and still produced. And now he has a regular offseason without COVID and all that stuff. Has an opportunity to really produce. Taiwan Garbut's back. Emmanuel Belmar has proven to be a very solid player for the Hokies. You got Robert Wooten and Alec Bryant on the outside. On the interior, you obviously have Jordan Williams transferring in from Clemson. Josh Fuga has an opportunity now to be, really good and kind of grasp more of a role on the interior defensive line. You got Norrell Pollard as well. I would have just absolutely just loved to see this unit with like a full off season last year, like a real opportunity to kind of gel, because Barno shows so much promise and he's so freaking athletic. And the fact that he was able to play as well as he did last year without any real offseason practice at the position is so promising for this upcoming year. I'm really high on the defense, guys. I think the defensive line has a chance to be really good. And I'm interested to see, with J.C. Price kind of coming into the fold, how that dynamic works out without Darryl Tapp. Because Bill Tegerlink has proven to be really good. And the opportunity now for J.C. Price, not only on the recruiting trail, but to come in and kind of add a new voice to the room on the defensive side of the football. I'm really excited to see that, plus the fact that these players get an entire offseason to kind of move forward. One other quick note, Deshaun Crawford, would have loved to see him stick around. I understand why he transferred out of the program. I get it. It's a numbers thing. There's a lot of talented guys on the interior defensive line for Virginia Tech, but I really liked him a lot. He was always fun to interview. Like, he was great in press conferences and stuff like that. So personal affinity for the guy. But he was also a pretty solid player, and it's kind of a bummer that he's gone. I think he would have been great. But this is a really, really good unit here up front, and I think it has a lot of promise.
Yeah, I gave this group a 6. I like the frontline guys. I like the second line guys. I like the other handful of guys that are going to work in. I know Bill Tegerlink likes to run at least 2, sometimes 3 line deep with his defensive line getting significant number of snaps. But just we talked about it a lot on this, like the way Barno went from somewhat of a liability, unless it was a 3rd and long situation, kind of week 1, to where he finished the season was mind blowing. Like dude came on fast, and once he got it, I mean, he just took off. Having Belmar back, Jalen Griffin, see how Robert Wooten comes along. Like the defensive ends overall. Defensive tackle, I feel really good about. As you said, I would have liked to see if Deshaun Crawford would have stuck around, how deep that unit would have been as well. But we still got Pollard, we got Williams coming in, still got Kendricks, Fuga, got Max Philpott on scholarship now. I heard he had a pretty good spring. So, I mean, there's a lot of promise in this unit, so I feel really good about him.
And as far as the interior part of the line goes, we're actually, for the first time, I feel like, maybe since mid-2000s, we were big inside.
Yeah.
Not 280. Jordan's over 3. Fuga's over 3. Pollard's your biggest undersized guy, but if he's deployed correctly in the right situations, Brian, you can attest to this. There's only a handful of guards and centers that can deal with that quick step that Pollard has based on his size to strength. Like, he's got a quick step, but he is strong. He's like 270, but he's built like he's strong enough to be 290. And when you have that quick step and you have that strength, there's not going to be many interior linemen that are going to be able to stop you. Be honest, this is probably the group that saves Justin Fuente's job.
Yeah.
I mean, for real.
I agree. I agree.
Shows that he could go out and land a big-time transfer and develop the group that's here because, again, Kendricks and Pollard and the guys that have been here have shown it, in Barno for real. And Barno, I mentioned this to Brian a couple of days ago, Barno got tapped one-on-one last year. You mentioned J.C. Price is coming in. J.C.'s a defensive tackle guy more. He's coached the whole line, but he played defensive tackle. You feel like that's more of his bread and butter. he's now going to get probably Tiernick more of the time. So it's almost like Darryl was able to shave the raw down and started what we saw at the end of last year. Now you're going to get like the doctor to come in and say, here's what you need to do next.
Yep. I don't know. It's promising. I mean, I like this group a lot. And again, I think this is one of the first times, since Bud Foster left that you're seeing, the bigger defensive linemen really come into the fold in a more prominent way. We've seen it bits and pieces, right? Even when Bud Foster was still a defensive coordinator, we saw kind of the bigger defensive linemen start to get recruited a little bit. And then you really saw it when Justin Hamilton took over, and now you're going to see them in a more prominent role with a lot of the younger guys too. Like not just the Jordan Williamses of the world. I'm talking about the younger guys are going to have an opportunity to play here. It's exciting, and I think it needs to be done, especially in like this new era of college football. I think you've got to have bigger interior defensive linemen and defensive ends. And, the way that Bud Foster traditionally recruited defensive linemen, I think moving past that, honestly, for all the good things that Bud Foster did, I think kind of moving past that into this kind of new era up front on the defensive line, I think is for the best.
Absolutely. All right, let's roll on. Let's take a look at the linebacker core. Brian, why don't you jump on this one, man? Because I feel like when we talked a couple of days ago, we were feeling this kind of similar, and then I'd want to hear what you got to say, Mike.
I will start off. I'm gonna go ahead and give my grade first. I'm giving this a 4. I feel okay about it. I don't really think the recent news really changes how I feel about it. We've got Dax moving into Mike, Keshawn Artis and Dean Ferguson kind of behind him. I feel like that's a pretty solid 3-man tandem for Mike. Where I'm a little iffy is backer. Alan Tisdale is a talented player, but he's been very inconsistent. And he's been undersized to play the position. Looks like he's put on a little bit of weight. The word is that becoming a father has kind of matured him a little bit, so I wonder if that's going to knock out some of the inconsistency in the game. So we'll see there. And then you got C.J. McCray coming in along with Lakeem Rudolph at the backer position there. So we'll see how McCray kind of fits in and learns the system. And then I know Lakeem Rudolph is on a position change, so he's still kind of picking up the position as well. So behind Tisdale, it's a lot of question marks as to how that's going to work out. So that's why my confidence is a little hazy there. I feel pretty good about Mike, but a little iffy about backer.
I'm at about a 3. And maybe that's low. Maybe that's a little bit more pessimistic. Maybe Papa Tisdale turns a corner, right? Like maybe he comes into his own a little bit. Again, all the talent in the world, and he's got a lot of potential. The inconsistency kills me at backer. And that's why I'm a little bit low on the unit as a whole, because when you go to Mike, Dax Hollifield has been a little bit up and down. And that concerns me too. Now, I think that moving over to Mike in a traditional middle linebacker position, I think is for the best for Dax. He wasn't going to play that, obviously, a year ago. With Ashby still in the fold, I get that. And I think he has an opportunity to obviously, come into his own a bit. But I'm a little bit more concerned about the linebacking core from a depth standpoint too, just because we don't know a lot about the guys behind him, like Dean Ferguson, for example. Like, I think he has an opportunity in a bigger role to play well, but it's something that obviously makes me nervous if he has to take on a bigger role than anticipated, because Dax doesn't live up to hype at middle linebacker.
If Dax doesn't, but to the credit, this is Dax's natural position. He's been playing out of position for the last 3 years at backer. He was never athletic enough. Brian said numerous times, Dak knew where he needed to be. There was just times Dak was one step there too late, or, didn't have the right angle because he didn't have the speed to get there.
Or missed the tackle. Sorry.
Missed the tackle. It happened, and essentially the alley was open and it was a big game. I think that's good, and I think Tisdale is your prototypical backer. as long as he's somewhere between 220 and 230, not 205 and 210, because if he's small, it's an even bigger issue this year. But I gave this with you, Mike. I'm a 3. It's not because I don't trust Tisdale and Dax. I trust them. I think those guys could be an excellent unit if they don't get hurt. But it's a linebacker position. You're flying in there. You're using your body. You're trying to fill gaps. At the Mike position, you feel okay. Between Dean and Keyshawn, you're like, okay, this could work. We can move, unfortunately, Dax back to backer. But if backer, if it's like as soon as one of those guys gets hurt, you're like, shit.
Yeah.
There's no way to say it. It's like, and this wasn't a big room to begin with. To me, the last 2 or 3 years, it's been significantly under-recruited.
Yep.
And I know you mentioned C.J. McCray coming in, and that's great. Maybe he's someone that you look at his size, you feel like he is a backer. Lakeem's a backer. Where do they start Kali Lawson at? Do they start him at backer, or do they move him to end immediately?
Oh my God! You guys know. I'm sorry. You guys know how I feel about Lawson. You guys know how I feel about Lawson. I love Lawson.
Everybody loves Lawson because we see him in so many different ways. Because you see him and say, "Good Lord, he could be Tremaine, right? Like he could be Tremaine. If he puts 15 pounds on, 20 pounds on, he could be Tremaine." But then the other part of us says, "Well, shit, he could be Tremaine."
Barno 2.0.
Barno 2.0.
And look, the versatility that you guys are talking about is the big thing for me. And you guys will remember back during quarantine, we were all locked inside and we were all on Twitter way more than we should be. I made the comparison that Lawson had a little bit of Isaiah Simmons in him, and I got dragged for that. All of a sudden, Lawson's got 4 stars now. I don't look so stupid, right? Like, This is a guy that has that positional, and all I meant was this is a guy who has positional versatility. Everybody was like, oh, he's going to live up to Simmons. That's crazy. You put that on him. That's not what I meant. He's got versatility. He can play at linebacker. He could play, out in the flat, right? I mean, you can kind of line him up on a slot guy. You can play him at defensive end because he's got the size and the length, the athleticism. Like, he's really talented, and he's another Barno type with a little bit more speed, right? And Barno was kind of in between positions a little bit. Lawson, I think, in between positions a little bit. And he can be like a Tremaine if you play him at linebacker. He can be a more experienced Barno if you line him up at defensive end. Like, this is a guy that I think can really make a difference moving forward.
Absolutely. So, again, it's on the coaching staff to put him in the right position day one where he can become an immediate impact player. I look at Kali Lawson. I know we're going off a little bit, maybe a conversation we're going to be having 2 months from now. His athleticism, if that guy's not on every special teams unit, every freaking game year one, then you failed him. He's 6'4". He's probably going to come in about 215 to 220 pounds, right? He can jump out of the room. Those training tapes, when he did some of those box jumps, like he was box jumping where you see collegiate kids box jump when he was a junior in high school. So, like, get him in on the punt block units, on the field goal units. He clearly can help you. Again, it's trusting the coaching staff to do it. All right, so we all feel terrible about the linebacker.
You guys are a little bit higher on Dax than I am. I love Dax. He's been kind of bounced around a little bit. Hopefully he finds some stability at middle linebacker. I think that's where he's best suited anyway.
That's the hope. I feel like, I think we saw a little bit from him last year as the season went on. Start of the year, he was not playing well at all. I think his last 3 or 4 games, he probably played his best football of the year. And I'm hoping that going to his more natural position is going to be the thing that he needs to kind of turn the corner with his overall career. Because, I mean, he's had a decent career, but in terms of where the expectations were year one, definitely has not lived up to that level of hype.
It's true. And I think being the out of position thing was the big thing. And personally, you said it earlier, I love Bud to death. I think Bud should have been smart in 18 and realized I need to let Dax sit because Dax is not going to get his maximum time at the position he is best for.
Yep.
And to me, it's hurt Dax. it's hurt us. It's hurt the program in some way.
Yeah.
All right, let's roll on. If you're good, everybody good? Anything else on linebackers? By the way,
Good.
If Dean Ferguson does get in and he hits somebody, I think he is going to physically hurt somebody because Dean just
I like him.
He looks mean. He looks old school. Like, I'm going to hit you and then probably stand over you.
He's much more like an Ashby than Dax is. I will say that he's got a little bit of bite to him.
All right, let's roll on to safeties and whips. Brian, lead this one for us, man. Where are you looking at safeties and whips with the big news this week? Devin Hunter back on the team, solidifying some depth there.
I tell you, I feel pretty good. I'm giving this a 7. Between the nickel whip position with Chamari and Nasir Peoples, boundary safety, you got, potentially Hunter back in there. You got Tay Daly that could work in there. Potentially Devin Taylor coming back. He's going to probably work with both the safeties and the corners there, since we've got a little bit more depth this year than we had last year at that position. And then you got Keonta Jenkins. Saw some time last year, played a little well at the start of the year, then had all the COVID stuff happen, and then kind of didn't see as much of him as the year wore on. And then you got J.R. Walker that could work in there as well. So we got, I think, a pretty solid group, and probably about 3 or 4 guys in the front line that I think could do a pretty good job of holding down the safety position there between Connor, Tay, Devin, and Keonta.
I like this group a lot. The Devin Hunter news changes things dramatically, obviously. Now, Devin Hunter, when he was recruited by Virginia Tech, remains the highest rated recruit in the Justin Fuente era. I think it's safe to say now we're, 3+ years in, it hasn't exactly lived up to the hype yet. Now, there's an opportunity now in front of Devin Hunter where he's got a position that he can lock down. He's been given a second chance. I'm really happy for him. I'm happy that the coaching staff gave him that second chance. I think, not to go too far into that, but he showed remorse. He, did what he needed to do when he's handled it like an adult, and I think that should be commended. Now, on the football side, I think giving him an opportunity now to play safety and kind of emerge in that role like we have all wanted him to is something we would really like to see. And bringing in Tay Daly as a transfer, obviously, played at Vanderbilt, a very bad football program. He was very good.
Yes, he was.
Don't get it twisted. Very good football player that they brought in here at safety. And just because he came from Vanderbilt doesn't mean he can't play. He can absolutely play, and I think he'll make an impact. I liked what I saw out of Keonta Jenkins in a limited role early in the year last year. I think he obviously has an opportunity to play well. J.R. Walker is a guy I thought would play a little bit more than he did last year. He was in the fold a little bit. I thought he'd play more. But, yeah, I like the unit a lot. Safety and whip and Shamari Connor, I know, is obviously going to play a lot, and they'll move him all around the secondary. But, yeah, I like this unit a lot. Confidence level is about a 6. Because even if they have to play young guys, I'm confident they can get the job done. Because if Keonta Jenkins plays a little bit more than we expect, I'm okay with that. I think he can be a really good player down the line for Virginia Tech. Hopefully he stays with the program, doesn't transfer. I hope that they kind of wet his palate enough, right, and get him enough snaps, because I think he has potential to be a really good safety here. But, yeah, I really like this unit a lot of potential, and the ceiling gets raised exponentially when you add a guy like Devin Hunter back into the room with all the potential that he has and the kind of recruit that he was. He obviously has the athleticism and the ceiling to get the job done, but it'll be really cool to see him potentially get that opportunity to kind of shine like we all expect him to.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. Essentially, all three of us. I'm at a 6 on this too, because I think Tay Daly coming in, you lose, Divine Diablo in the back end, but you have a guy like Daly, like you guys have said. He went to Vanderbilt, not good football. He was a good football player. Devin Hunter, and the thing is, let's flash back to August of last year and the comments that were being made. Devin's ready. it was just like I think everybody in Hokie Nation were like, oh my God, he is going to take over the rover boundary safety position and he is going to excel. Then everything happens. He does all the right things. He gets back in with the football program. So it not only bolsters that positions where you can say that was the weaker of the two positions because Keonta played free safety last year. And with this, you've got Devon coming in, and obviously he's probably immediately going into August like, y'all better be ready because he's going to take that position from whoever's in it right now.
Y'all thought he was motivated before?
Watch now. Exactly. And as talented and athletic as he was, that room's ready. The depth behind him between J.R. Walker, Keonta Jalen, and one person that y'all haven't mentioned, Jalen Stroman is going to see some time this year. He's going to see a ton of special teams. He's going to see some on the field with the regular unit. He's one of those guys, I kid not. We went through guys. You mentioned Khalil Lawson at the 4-star bump. If Jalen Stroman had a real season last year, Jalen Stroman would have been a 4-star without a doubt. And you've already, Mike, we listened to some of the interviews and we've read some of the stuff. They're high on Jalen right now.
They are. They really are. And I think he could play some too. I agree. They're going to find ways to get him on the field for sure. And I don't know if – I'm sure they'll toe the line with the 4-game redshirt rule, especially if there are no injuries. They're going to toe the line there. They're going to mix him in. If there's an injury, I think he'll play a lot more. But listen, guys, as far as the recruiting goes and as far as, some of these guys are concerned with like Lawson and Stroman in particular, there are guys who really did not benefit from not having a season, right? Not having a season, at least when they were really getting recruited. And look, and there's some really talented players in not only Virginia Tech's recruiting class, but in recruiting classes across the country that are being overlooked because there weren't camps, because there weren't football seasons, at least in the fall when they were really getting recruited. And I think in Stroman and Lawson's case in particular, they have an opportunity to make a huge impact, even though their rating might not necessarily reflect it.
Big time. Absolutely. Yeah, we were talking about that, like not having the camps, not having a fall season. And it's probably going to impact, the 22 class just as much as it has impacted 21.
Agree.
We're gonna see some of that trickle down. We're already seeing that, so many this cycle have kind of waited to commit before, this dead period kind of lifted, and they can get into these camps and they can get on campus and things like that. Yeah,
and I'll give the staff credit. I think there are some ball players in the recruiting class they just got, and I know the rating wasn't there. It was an improvement from the class 2 cycles ago, for sure. But there are some ball players there, and I know it wasn't the highest rated class in the ACC. I know it wasn't as high as a lot of fans would have liked, but there are some ball players there, and there's some guys that have a lot of potential.
Yeah, it's one of those classes that potentially, whether Justin Fuente is the head coach in 3 to 4 years or not, the people are going to look back and there's going to be some guys there that are playing huge roles, whether he's the coach or whether we have a brand new coach. Mike, I see you're a very happy man right now. Your Bruins closed it out in OT 2-1. So,
oh yeah,
good for you.
I held it in. I was.
We don't care. You could have stopped and shut up. We just scored. I'm celebrating the drink.
You guys had Jeremy. You guys had Jeremy on here. There was,
we had 90 minutes of Jameson.
Right. I get it. It's a lot to live up to.
That's right.
There's times where we're sitting here and just chatting. The next thing you know, he's staring at a game like, Brian, that son of a just did so-and-so. Brian, by the way, Brian, we are a few minutes away from your Lakers tipping off.
Yeah. I have zero confidence in that, just like I do in the quarterback room.
Anthony Davis is going to play, though. He'll be okay.
We'll see.
He's going to pull his point again. All right, let's go to the last group, guys, and wrap this up tonight. Cornerback. And I'm gonna jump on this one. I'm putting cornerback at a 7. Between Dorian Strong, great freshman All-American campaign, hopefully, and I'm putting it at a 7, not a 6. Hopefully, and optimistic that Jermaine Waller gets back to his 2019 ways. along with guys like Brian Murray, Armani Chapman, who got a ton of playing time last year. The new man on campus today, DJ Harvey from out in California. I just feel like the depth of this room, they're good. I want to see Jermaine Waller get back to that 2019 form, because if Jermaine Waller gets back to that 2019 form, my opinion is in the first 2 days of the NFL draft, Jermaine Waller will be gone off the board. That's my opinion. And I think last year him being banged probably gave me that 7, because so many younger guys got the opportunity to get on the field and to get that knowledge that you can have 1,000 spring practices. Actually being in the game against your competition, that's how you grow the most.
I'm at 8 with this group. And
Woo!
I'm high on this group, guys. And and part of the reason why I'm so high on the corners in particular is because you also have guys at safety who can kind of slide around if there are depth issues and injuries. One guy that I didn't mention, and I don't think you guys mentioned either, Devin Taylor. Like,
I mentioned him in the safety group. I was saying he could play corner or safety here.
Now, listen. Now, if he plays some corner, look, he had to slide in the safety last year out of necessity. If he plays some corner, I mean, we're cooking with gas. And then you got DJ Harvey as a freshman. You got Jermaine Waller. This is a really talented group, guys. Breon Murray, I think Breon Murray's fantastic. Dorian Strong, obviously, freshman All-American, really good player. Breon Murray, if he doesn't get COVID, I mean, he's an All-ACC player last year without Waller in the fold. And he got COVID and kind of things went sideways and he missed a bunch of time. But Breon Murray's a really good player. There's depth all over the field in the secondary. And, I mentioned I think I put safeties at a 6. I put corners at an 8. I think if you average the group, it's a 7. I mean, this is the strength of the teams in the secondary. The defensive backs, the versatility, the way you can mix and match. There are going to be a lot of talented guys here this year that don't play a lot of snaps just because there are too many guys for too few spots. Yep. I wish and again, roster management, right? You have a lot of really good players here in the secondary. Yeah. Like, I wish we had that problem all over the field. Then we're like Clemson. Right, we got a lot of good players like Jordan Williams, who transfers in, who didn't play a lot of Clemson. Obviously, a really capable and talented player. We got to have that problem everywhere. Then we're cooking with gas.
Yeah, I'm right with you there, Mike. I've got him at an 8 as well. Jermaine Waller coming back, hopefully fully healthy, ready to roll. You got Dorian Strong, who had a great freshman campaign. Breon Murray that you mentioned that was playing really well before he was injured. Armani Chapman, who's really talented, even though he's been somewhat inconsistent. And then you've got Devin Taylor that's, with the depth that we now have at safety, can slot in there at the cornerback position where he's more of a natural fit. Then you got the young guys coming in between, DJ Harvey and a couple of the other younger quarterbacks that we had in this class. I feel really good about this group. You really got five players that have seen significant snaps at the cornerback position at the Power 5 level. 2 of them that have done it very damn well, and a couple others that were played well in spots, even if they were consistent in their total campaign for 2020.
And let's also be realistic, guys. Justin Hamilton actually had a spring to install what the hell he wants to do.
Yeah.
Last year it was on the fly. Now, whether you disagree or agree with what he tried to do to install it, a lot of people will tell you, dude, you knew Bud's system like the back of your hand. You should have stuck with it. Maybe they win 8 games last year. Maybe they win 7. Maybe they have a better season and we're not where we are from a viewpoint of the coaching staff. But he didn't. But I think that also helps this year because I actually can give you game footage against North Carolina, Clemson, Duke, where you messed this up. But this is in game. And now we have a spring to go practice it, make it right. So as we get into fall, we essentially put everything together as we march towards Labor Day Friday.
Yep. Yeah. And I think Justin Hammond talked a lot about like streamlining and keeping what's good and editing and things like that when he was talking some of the off-season videos we've seen. So hopefully we'll see some of that. Obviously, just having the time and the actual on-field coaching that you can do with the spring, with the full fall, that's going to pay a bunch of dividends. And just having most of these guys that have already been in this system to a point for a season, like Curtis mentioned, I feel like they're going to be in a lot better place than they were, especially at the start of the season last year, but definitely, overall.
I just think the quality across college football, and I know we're talking about the Hokies, but I think just the quality of football in September and October is going to be so much greater this year than it was last year. I mean, a lot of teams' seasons didn't start till mid to late September last year, and then some teams didn't start till October, and then you look at the Pac-12 didn't start playing till November. Crazy, but when looking back on it, think about the quality of football we saw from the beginning of the year last year, and not even just Virginia Tech, just across college football. Like the beginning of last year to the playoff. Once we got to the college football playoff, it was all right, these teams are really good. We were seeing good football, and it felt normal again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that now with a real off season, and I think this will be the case, obviously, with a real off season. Restrictions are being lifted. Everybody's being able to practice and bring recruits on campus, all that stuff. I feel like we're going to get a better football season early in the year than we did last year. It was a weird year, and I feel like with Justin Hamilton in particular, being able to install your scheme and have guys be able to be comfortable with kind of what they kind of learned on the fly last year, I think there's an opportunity for a lot of young guys to play early and play well, and a lot of the veterans to play a lot better than we saw a year ago. Yeah.
I'll say one thing. I know, Curtis, you mentioned choosing not to go kind of more back to Bud's elements once COVID hit. That was going to be a hard sell because you were already, mid-March, you had already started your installation. Yeah. There's that would have been full on, changing direction midstream there. So that would have been a hard sell for your players, I feel like. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't in a lot of ways when it comes to that choice that Justin Hamilton had to make.
It is, and it was a tough choice to make at that point in time. I mean, what's happened essentially the last 15 months is something potentially we'll probably never see again in our lifetime like this. And you talk about college football. If you don't remember, Hokies essentially finished fall camp. They were expecting a 1-week break. Then we were going to play the first game. COVID breakout happens. It's pushed back multiple weeks. We're not going to see that this year. When Labor Day kicks off until Thanksgiving night, as me and Brian will probably be sitting here at the computer, me staring at the television screen, 6 drinks deep, screaming at some West Coast rivalry game because we decided to get on MGM bets and decided to lay $200 on it because we were done. It's back to a sense of normalcy. I mean, and this is kind of going off topic. The full expectation is Lane's going to be full this year. A full Lane Stadium to me is a +2 win for Virginia Tech. There were games last year that were lost that if in Lane Stadium full capacity would have been wins. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Liberty?
Yeah, I was going to say Liberty.
Well, yes, I'm talking about Liberty. Come on. Yeah. I mean, because that game, it's been mentioned and probably everybody's heard it. There was no juice in that game.
No.
The guys didn't feel it, and everybody bullshitted, and everybody sat there and tried to say, and we'll go on a tangent here. Well, we'd have played Liberty anyway. We'd have fucking lost them. Opening fucking weekend? No. We probably would have beat them by 21. Don't give me this, but they're the same team. No, Liberty played a bunch of cupcakes leading up to Virginia Tech. They were able to completely install what they wanted to do offensively. Hugh Freeze is a damn good coach. Yeah. He is a damn good coach. He will not be at Liberty next year when they go 9-3. I don't know where he'll be. I'm sitting here thinking, where will he be? He will be somewhere at a Power 5 job. Opening weekend, that doesn't happen. because he doesn't have time to fully install and know how he's going to run against Virginia Tech.
I agree. I mean, he's not Art Briles, right? I mean, he'll find a job. He'll be all right.
Yeah, definitely fine.
I mean,
Well,
he'll
he
be all
does
right.
call strippers.
Yeah. It's not. I mean,
Just don't use the university
yeah.
phone. Like, hey,
Right.
here's a phone that we're issuing you. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna call the escorts. That's what we do.
I mean, he'll get a job. I mean, people are going to take a chance on Hugh Freeze. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah.
He's going to Liberty, win 9-10 games a year. I mean, he'll find a job. Lane Kiffin found a job. Like all these guys, you know, they find jobs, man. Like it'll be all right. I mean, Art Briles is a different situation, but I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, I think this is a really important year for Virginia Tech. Obviously, I think that having fans back in the stands will definitely help. I don't think you lose a game like Liberty if you got full capacity. I don't think it comes down to a final play that was weird and everybody calls Fuente a bad coach. I mean, to be quite honest with you, in the 5 years that Fuente's been in Blacksburg, his X's and O's, in my opinion, have been okay. I disagree with some of the roster management stuff.
Yeah.
But in-game situational football, by and large, in 5 years, I've actually been okay with. And that hasn't been the issue for me with him. It's been the recruiting. It's been the persistence to stick with your guys when you know that they're not your guys being your staff, by the way.
Yeah.
When you know that they may not necessarily be the people for the job. The hard-headedness has bothered me a lot.
Oh,
but as
God.
far as the in-game X's and O's, I've honestly been okay with for the most part. I think he's been a fine coach from that standpoint. I think he knows football. I think from that standpoint, he's a good football coach. There's other stuff I worry about: the people management, the roster management, as well when you extend it to actual players, and then the recruiting has been a problem. In college football, you're totally made by recruiting. I mean, there are a lot of just okay coaches that make their hay on recruiting, and they're just good recruiters, and they stick around for a long time. Fuente's not one of them, so he's got to find a way to kind of remedy that, and I just don't know. Again, I don't know if he's going to have the time,
It's true. But the thing is, you talk about his recruiting. We've seen, like, when it leaked last year, the Norrell Pollard video from the locker room. You remember that?
Yep.
You sit here and say, dude, if you take that and let the public see it, people are going to love you. You show fire. You show passion. It's like he's one of these guys that has probably behind closed doors, has a personality that would turn on 95% of people. And someone's telling him, or maybe behind the scenes in his mind, well, I can't do this. I have to do things different, where it should be just go be yourself. Because if you're making the players buy into you, which, again, we see some of those videos, it looks like the locker room a lot of times have bought into him. You've got to get the fans to buy into you. You've got to get the recruiting. You don't like it, that's fine. Essentially, a lot of head coaches don't like it. But what they learn to master is they learn to master the final sell. And they walk through that front door of the kid's living room and they sell it to the parents. And that's what he's got to learn. My bigger thing with him, the roster management's bad. The coaching staff management's worse. He let his best coach go to Alabama. The day Holloman Wiggins got that call from Alabama, he should have looked at Brad Cornelison and said, you're getting a co-offensive coordinator. Holloman's going up.
Yep.
I'm going to pay Holloman more. Holloman was his best recruiter. And clearly we have seen a steady decline in wide receiver play since Holloman left. With the exception of blocking. Because Jafar Williams can teach some fucking blocking for his wide receivers.
His wide receivers block their ass off. They don't get a lot of catches. They block their ass off.
That's for damn sure.
But the other piece is this goes back a long time ago, Mike, probably when you were born or right before you were born, when me and Don were pups. This is similar to 1993. And it's a place where Frank Beamer was against the wall. The AD gave him the vote of confidence. Now, Frank that year made some significant changes to his coaching staff.
Yeah.
He essentially, guys who had came with him, he fired.
Yeah.
Fuente didn't do it. Now, maybe Fuente feels maybe some things change internally on how things are done, and maybe that's what he needs. Because I'm one of these. This is the way I think probably us three as Hokie fans feel. We both called for his job last year. I called it after the Liberty game. Brian called it after the Pitt game. Like, he's got to be fired.
I wrote the damn article after the Pitt game.
You wrote
it was titled "It's Over."
It's over.
We are three fans, though, who agreed at a point in 2020 he should have been fired. But we are also three fans that sit here and say, I hope we have a good season. Because it is harder to dig out from the bottom than it is to get your way back to the top. If he has a good season, we're not down to bottom. We're actually on the way back up. We have a 10-9 season. People can say, yeah, he's fired. Fuck him. Y'all, do y'all know how tough it's going to be to overcome the look of being under 4 games, 500 over the last 4 seasons?
Yeah.
Do you know how hard that is to overcome? Do you know everybody says Nick Saban in Alabama? Go look at the Alabama record leading up to when Nick Saban got there. And even his
wasn't
first
that bad.
Huh?
It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad, but it still took Saban 1 season to get it figured out.
Yeah.
He was getting some studs in there.
Yeah.
If you want to go to rock bottom, we are not the type of program that is going to have the 1-year bounce to be winning 10 and 11 games again. And some people don't realize that. Some people don't study the history of Virginia Tech and don't understand until Bill Dooley got here. Jerry Claiborne was the other guy that had significant tenure that was a really significant and successful head coach until Dooley got here in 79.
Yeah.
It took Dooley till 86 to get to the Peach Bowl. And then, well, obviously everything came out that he was doing a lot of shit under table, and it fucked Frank's first few years up. So don't always wish for someone to get fired, because if it happens, it means it's going to be a bad season, and it's going to take a lot of digging to get back to where we were, and really where we were just 4 short years ago.
Yeah, two quick things. The point you made about, wanting success. I battle with people on social media because, you guys know this, but yes. I battle with people on social media because they're like, "Oh, you should want Fuente to be fired because we should expect more." Yeah, we should absolutely expect more. We should. Yes. But how do you know? How are you absolutely sure the next guy is going to be more successful than the guy we have now, right? And that doesn't mean that you don't fire the guy you have now. That's not what I'm saying. You can fire him, but there's no guarantee you're going to bat 1,000 when you hire the next guy.
Yeah.
So you should want the current guy to have success. And it's really hard to dig out from the bottom, Curtis. That's a great point. It's really hard to dig out when you hit rock bottom, because it takes years to rebuild that culture, to rebuild that trust in recruiting, that you're doing the right thing, you're making the right strides. You got to want to have the coach that is in place right now to have success. There are people who are negative all the time on social media, talking about, recruiting being bad or the team being bad. Like, we can all see that, but you talking about constantly doesn't make it any better, right? Like, you got to want to have success with the guys that are there now. And you got to support the staff that's there now as a fan, even if you don't believe they're the right people to lead the program. That's a huge point. And then the one other thing you mentioned, Curtis, about, Beamer and, in the early 90s, and he made the decision to kind of fire the guys on staff. That's kind of the problem I have with Fuente.
Yes.
We're circling back. This is kind of total 180 from what I just said. Circling back to Fuente himself, the difference between Beamer and Fuente is Beamer pulled the trigger on guys he was friends with.
Yes, he did.
Yep. Fuente hasn't done that, right? Yep. The obvious guy is Cornelsen, and I get he's engineered some of the highest rated offenses in Tech's history, but it's the guy. It's the plays in the middle of the game, right? It's the roster management with some of the guys where we're like, you know what, they should get the ball more, or you should start this guy at quarterback. You're a quarterbacks coach, right? You should start this guy at quarterback, right?
Yep.
It's that kind of stuff that bothers us with Cornelsen. It's not the play design. He's play design's good.
It is.
That's not the problem. Good. That's not the problem. And people say his play design's trash. I just, you discard that. That's not correct, right? Discard it.
Brian, I'll let the big guy talk about
this.
Yeah,
we talk about this all the time. Play design is not the problem. It's how those plays are called, the sequencing, the situational calling, it's those things, and how to, as you said, how to deploy the talent you have on your offensive weapons, how you deploy them, how you get them the ball.
Exactly.
I played for a coach at Hampton Sydney that he had a very basketball mindset. He wanted to get the ball into the hands of his playmakers as much as possible. And I feel like we don't do that.
Let's do that. Why don't we do that? Yeah. Why don't we do that? And then the one more quick thing is, and I kind of got off track there, but the one thing I wanted to finish with here is that Fuente didn't make the decision to fire his friends.
Yep.
And you look at Brian Kelly at Notre Dame in 2016, they go 4-8. He fired his friends.
He fired everybody.
And not only did he fire his friends, he fired the guys that weren't his friends, right? He fired everybody.
Cleaned house.
And they've been averaging 10 or 11 wins ever since, and they've been either in the college football playoff or a fringe college football playoff team. They've been a top 10 team in the country ever since. And Fuente's insistence on staying with the guys he's friends with could lead to his demise, in my opinion.
Yep. I agree. Well, Mike, before we wrap up, we wanted to give you a little opportunity here to kind of promote anything you're working on, anything you want to talk about. We'll just kind of give you the floor here for a little bit.
Yeah, sonsofsaturday.com. Go check it out there. I write a lot more during football season and basketball season than I do right now in the off season, but we'll be getting a bit more into that now as the off season progresses a little bit. Basketball conference podcast, if you like ACC football, that's one of the podcasts I do. Just covers the entire ACC, so go check that out. And then for Hokie coverage, I do have my own Virginia Tech football podcast, Hokie Hangover. Go check that out as well. We recorded something actually this afternoon on the Atudi situation and Devin Hunter returning. So definitely go check that out. We try to record about once a week, but the off season is a little bit less frequent.
Yep, we know all too well about that.
We know that struggle.
Mike, we really appreciate you joining us tonight, and that is going to wrap up this episode of the Boundary Corner podcast. Along with Mike McDaniels, I'm Curtis Wilson.
I'm Brian Sigla.
Visit our website, boundarycornervt.com, to listen to all of our episodes. While you're there, don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube account where you can catch these streaming live when we do them, and your favorite podcast source, including Spotify, Amazon, and Apple Podcasts. If you're looking to join the Hokie Club and help achieve the Reach for Excellence campaign goal, please visit boundarycornervt.com/giving to get started. As always, we let our buddy from the NRV close us out, Jason Long. Catch him on Spotify and Apple Music. As always, we thank you guys for listening. We look for your feedback. Please give us some reviews out there. And as always, Brian, Mike, let's go.
Hokies.